Good morning, class 11s. Currently, we're doing the chapter Indian Sociologist, and we've covered uh, D.P. Mukherjee and G.S. Khore. So, in this video, we are going to study about A.R. Desai. There is this small box where you will find some information on A.R. Desai in your textbook. So, please go through it in order to have a clear introduction to A.R. Desai. Okay, I'm not going through the video. I'm sorry, the table, because the information given is very simple and you will understand it. All right. So let's begin. A.R. Desai was a Marxist and was involved in Marxist politics. Like we studied regarding Karl Marx in the Western Sociologist chapter, and we also studied that Durjati Prasad Mukherjee, he also followed Marxist ideas, but then he did not call himself a Marxist but a Marxologist. So similarly, A.R. Desai also followed Marxist idea, and he was a Marxist, and he was also involved in Marxist politics. So this basically means the Communist Party of India, the Marxist party. Okay. So his doctoral thesis was Social Background of Indian Nationalism, which is published in 1948. So this was his PhD work. Okay. In this book, he has talked about Marxist analysis of Indian nationalism. So in this book, Social Background of Indian Nationalism, he has talked about the he has talked about Indian nationalism through the Marxist lenses. Okay, as we have studied how in Marx there is the owning class, there is the labor class, that is the working class, so the proletariat, the bourgeois. So he has studied, or he has talked about Indian nationalism through the Marxist lens. The major concepts he worked on were peasant movements, rural sociology, modernization, urban issues, political sociology, forms of state, and human rights. So these are certain topics that he has talked on. So A.R. Desai on state. Okay, so he has written extensively on state, and state basically the welfare state. So he has viewed state from a Marxist perspective again. Okay, where the state, he has viewed the state from a Marxist perspective. Like there are a lot of these sociologists, the researchers, the workers who has a Marxist perspective, who is the follower of Marx. So Marx is very important classical sociologist. So you should be clear with his ideas. So he has also written an essay titled "The Myth of the Welfare State." So this is an essay that he has written. So Desai identifies the following unique feature of a welfare state. So he talks about some features of unique welfare state. Okay, so the firstly, it is a welfare state is a positive state. It is an interventionist state and uses its power to frame policies for the betterment of the society. So he says that a welfare state is a positive state. It is a state which works for the betterment of the society. It uses its power. Okay, it takes part in framing policies so that the society gets better, so that it becomes fruitful for the individuals of the society. Secondly, the welfare state is a democratic state, because welfare state is supposed to be a democratic state. You know what democracy is, right? You've studied in political science. So democracy, it is an important component of the welfare state. Number 3, welfare state involves a mixed economy. So mixed economy basically means an economy where there is both the public and the private sector, where there are state owned enterprise as well as privately owned enterprise. Fourthly, Desai puts forward, oh no, we're done. So that those were the features of a welfare state according to Desai. But then Desai also analyzes whether welfare state actually exists or not. So he does this by raising some questions. So Desai, he puts forward certain questions to understand the performance of a welfare state. So these are certain questions that he has put forward in order to understand whether a welfare state actually exists and whether they actually fulfill the functions that he has mentioned. So firstly, does the welfare state ensure freedom from poverty, social discrimination, and security for all its citizens? Does the welfare state remove inequalities of income? Does the welfare state transform the economy in such a way that the capitalist profit motive is made subservient to the real needs of the community. Does the welfare state ensure stable development free from the cycle of economic booms and depression? Does it provide employment for all? So these are certain questions that he has raised in order to understand whether welfare state actually exists and it actually works for the betterment of the society and the citizens. So on the basis of these criteria, Desai examines those states that are considered as welfare states. For example, Britain and USA. So on the basis of these questions, he analyzes whether, in states which are already called welfare states like Britain, USA, whether they fulfill such criteria. So even the most developed state fails to provide minimum levels of economic and social security to their citizens. So he observed that states that are already termed as welfare state like Britain, USA, they are not being able to provide minimum economic levels of economic security, okay, to the citizens, and they are not even being able to provide social security to the citizens despite of being a welfare state. And then they are unable to reduce economic inequality. They are not being able to give jobs to people are being unemployed, hence economic inequality exists even in a welfare state. And then they are unable to bring about a stable development free from market fluctuation. So the welfare state is not being able to bring about development in the market, in the society, okay, and they are suffering from the highs and lows of the market, okay. And then they do not provide employment, as I mentioned. So keeping in mind all that, okay, he raised questions, he talked about welfare state, he gave the features of welfare state, and then he also raised questions regarding whether a welfare state actually exists. But on the basis of his analysis on the welfare states such as Britain, the United States of America, he found out that such welfare states are also not being able to work for the betterment, okay, for the promotion of the welfare of the individual. Hence he says that the welfare state is a myth. It is something which does not exist, but we tend to believe, okay. That is when he wrote this essay, the myth of a welfare state, okay. So that's it for this video. This is on A.R. Desai, and in the next video we will study about M.N. Srinivas, and with that we will be ending our chapter. Okay, so study well and please do your assignments because it is very important for you all. It is eventually you people who has to go back and revisit all of that which you have written or not written. If you've not written, you have to write, okay. So yeah, study well and a very happy new year to you all.